screen because we navigated to a URL that wasn't mapped to anything, right? And the pattern of the URL is this over here, right? Course viewer, course ID, yada yada yada. So let's copy that, and let's go back to our routing module, and let's configure what is it that we want to see when we see that path, right? So if the pattern is that it starts with course viewer, and then it follows with a course ID placeholder, followed by modules, and when it sees a placeholder for the module, and then lesson, and then it sees a placeholder for the lesson ID. Okay, where do we want to go? What do we want to show? Well, before we were navigating between the course lists, right, that display the list of courses, and we were navigating to the course viewer. But in the last two routes, right, for both URLs, right, where we were displaying a particular course or a particular module, well, we were staying in the same component, right, because we want to encode the URL, right, the state in the URL, but we want to stay in the same component. So we're going to do this. We're going to use the same strategy here. We want to stay in the same component. We don't want to go anywhere else. We want to stay right here. All right, so if you try that out, you click on tests, and here's the module. And then if we click on the lesson, notice that we stay here, right? But we have the encoding here. If you notice, there was a little flickering, and that's because when we created the links, right, instead of href, really we should use router link. So router link will avoid those flickering, right? So that if you click on different URLs, notice that the URL is changing, right? It's changing, it's different, but notice that there's no flicker. No flicker. Okay. Excellent. So there we go. So we were able to encode the state of the currently selected module lesson. We could use that. We could use that to highlight, right, the hyperlink, right, if the currently selected lesson matches the lesson by the one we are iterating over, right? What we could do here is calculate the class, again, class. We can say that the class, wait, was it class or ng class? It's this has changed over time. Oh yeah, just class. Actually, we have a cheat sheet here. Let's copy that. Let's go back to the lesson tabs, and let's copy that. So this is, I want to use the active class if the lesson ID, right, the lesson, wait a minute, wait, do we grab the lesson ID? I guess we didn't grab the lesson ID. We should grab it as well, right? So let's grab the lesson ID from the URL. Now that we have the route that it's pointing to this, right? So lesson ID. Right, so this is the lesson ID that initially is empty string. That is going to keep track of this lesson ID right here. Okay. Oops. So if it is the same, right? If the lesson ID is the same as the lesson that I'm iterating over, then I want to highlight. We want to make it active. There we go. So notice that we can click, right, and it becomes active. Again, we have the same styling issue from last time, right? So in their CSS, we want to make sure that if you see the class active followed by a hyperlink, we want to make the front color, the forward color white. There we go. Highlight it. Also notice that it's flickering and showing the dummy lessons real quick. We can remove that from the component, right? So we can remove this and just leave it as empty array so we don't see that flicker. Right, so that if we go and look at a module, oh, these are our lessons. Yep. DB, Wait, why is this displaying lessons? New lesson. Wait, what? What's that new lesson? Test. Oh, it's remembering. Okay, we probably want to clear that. Anyway, I'll leave that up to you. So let's focus on we have the highlight. The last piece of this would be that we would like to maybe apply some best practices, because notice that this fetch, right, should not live here. So let's fix that.